G'day golfers. Ever found yourself redirecting blame and making excuses after having an absolute shocker on a golf course? I know that I have. Range was closed, I was a little cold, didn't warm up, I hit it in those 3 old divots. Then we have the podcast for you. We focus on how to fundamentally own your swing. Strike it pure and consistently shoot in the 70s. Be it if you're a weekend hack, retired and playing daily, a school phenom or a tour professional. We present and discuss facts and physics pertaining to golf, trying to keep our ego and opinion at bay. We dispel myths such as keep your head down, bend your knees, or my all-time favourite, game improvement irons. So stop drinking that mythical Kool-Aid and have a sip of ours. I think you'll find it both inspiring and refreshing. I'm Scott Young, founder of Swing, PGA professional and ex-tour player. And together with physical therapist Dr. Sean Joyce, welcome to Pivot the Path. G'day golfers and good morning, SJ.
Good morning. How's the cruise in this morning?
The cruising was a little interesting. I left home and left all the camera at home, so I had to circle back at 4:43. There were a couple of expletives being thrown out there.
I'm sure, yeah. Speed limit was looking less enticing this morning, I
bet.
I can't.
I usually don't try and speed. I love driving fast, but yeah, we went. The old Suburban boat was.
Yeah, you're running on a little adrenaline this morning.
We got there, so that was all good.
Awesome.
How are you? How's your morning? How's your week?
Good, really good. We had an awesome little getaway last weekend. It was beautiful upstate, like low 60s. Nice. So refreshed a little bit. Happy to be back.
Yeah. City's actually still in this weird spot of it's crazy warm.
It's nuts.
It's insane.
It's great for golfers, and everything's so dry. I mean, it's a shame now we got some wildfires going on.
Yeah, thank you to all the firefighters up in New York for our local area. New York, I know California's got some, but New York, Jersey border, there's some bad ones going. So
yeah, so hopefully they can get that under control. Safe. But for golf courses, they're firm, they're fast. The greens are rolling pure. It's a sweet spot right now.
Yeah, news from the fairways. What have we got? We got a lot going on actually in the golf industry this week.
Yep.
Should we get to the tournaments first? LPGA, A-lim Kim, she won her second event. Mm-hmm. Young lady, she's playing very, very well.
Yeah, pretty cool. A couple of second-time winners also on PGA Tour.
PGA Tour, we had Austin Eckroat who won.
Yep, young guy, first win last. I don't even know when it was, last season.
Yeah, I remember. Earlier this year. I remember you knew him and I had unfortunately never heard of him. And so he's playing very well.
Yeah.
Very interesting though. So just on PGA Tour, they call this the fall FedEx kind of points. Now, top 125, I thought it was top 100, but top 125 are exempt into everything next year. Mm-hmm. 125 to 150 is what everyone's vying for. And that's of FedEx who are non-exempt out of the top 125. And then you've got to add to them the exempt players from Europe. Mm-hmm. Then you've got to add to them exempt players for 10 years. So someone like a John Daly, he's not exempt, but will get sponsors invites. Mm-hmm. Short answer is the PGA Tour is in a mess right now because they've got this private equity money, about $1.5 billion I can figure out. So PE have come in and said, we have to make this thing a little more streamlined. We've got some heavy hitters in the banking world at Swing who are members, and they've been working on the deal and they've been telling me it's an absolute cluster. There's bits going everywhere. And then we add the LIV merger. Mm-hmm. So you've got potentially more players coming back to the PGA Tour. Mm-hmm. So the podcast is all about being high and tight on facts, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't know if the LIV merger has been signed. I am guessing that it has been behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. They've come to an agreement. Whether it's actually signed, who knows? Mm-hmm. But the problem is the PGA Tour and any tournament worldwide has been 144 players. Mm. Now PGA Tour up to 156, and they're finding that they're not finishing on the Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
And now they're about to add LIV players into this. So the whole thing's a nightmare because you've got the University PGA Tour amalgamation when they come out of school. Mm-hmm. Then you got exemptions. Then you've got PGA Tour. Then you've got Q School. Then you've got Corn Ferry.
Yeah.
Just not enough seats to
those 125 spots are looking pretty slim, as well as on the actual tournaments, 156 people playing. We just need more people, more space.
My opinion, this is going to be somewhat controversial, but unfortunately, mates of mine, and I wouldn't say Kev Strillman's a mate. I played quite a few rounds with Kev way back when I was on the road. But unfortunately, the guys like Kev, who are probably not going to win the major events, I'm sorry, but they got to go. They've had 20 years on tour. They've made a bucket load. I want to see a young kid who hits it 350, who's going to have, his first win. That's what I enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the older crew, my age, sorry, but
yeah, there's just so many
the
young,
horses,
talented
because there's
golfers.
so many people. It's 144 have to tee it up. They've got to change the parameters. So I believe, what's the Colombian? Villegas. So I believe Villegas has just made the Players Commission or the Players Board.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that he's being one of those guys who's not quite on the top 100 anymore. And I think he's actually saying, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We got to cull the
Too much talent.
Too much talent. Good problem to have.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good problem to have. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
So
we'll see how all that works out. There's a lot of balls in the air right now.
There's a ton of balls in the air, excuse the pun. But Eckroat is, I think he's 48th in the world as it's on FedEx Cup as it stands, and then he's just won. Yeah. So he doesn't need to play the full series.
So he's kind of giving himself some vacation time if he so chooses.
So I think it's really interesting. Short answer is it's an absolute cluster. They've just got to, I think they've got to tighten the ship of who's exempt. If you've had an injury, I know injuries on PGA Tour, if you are exempt, can carry up to 12 months injury exemption. Maybe you have to cull that back a little bit. It's like, they got to sit down. They got to find out a better system.
Yeah, that's tough. But we've got a couple weeks in the FedEx Cup fall, so those last 25 spots between 125 and 150, people are really going to be fighting for.
It's juggle time, yeah.
It's going to be some good stories coming up, people who barely squeeze in, people who barely miss it, but we'll keep everyone updated on where that lands.
Because what they're saying is that 126 to 150 won't get a start in anything. And now what they're saying, and again, this is from the players, is the guys who have come up from Q School and Corn Ferry, they won't be able to get any starts. They'll get 14 or 15 potential starts, but not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so it's tough.
I mean, with the pressure that's already there, then you condense it into less opportunities. It's a pressure cooker.
The point is, the guys the journeymen who've been exempt for 15 years, who've got their 50 million, 40 million in the bank, they're under no pressure. They're like, yeah, I've got 30 in the bank. I'm cruising. I've got 3 kids. But it's the young kids who are 26, 27, 28, who might only have, they've got no exempt, they don't have exemptions or money, and the pressure's on. And we've got to grow the game. And unfortunately, those 35, 40 pluses kind of time. And then you've got, and this is awesome. This made my week. Senior PGA, bloody Bernhard Langer at 67. I think he is.
You can't stop him.
He wins again. He holds a 35-footer on the 72nd hole to win his yet again PGA Tour Seniors PGA Tour event. That insane. Guy is, and he hardly even makes the news. I have man awe over Bernhard Langer.
Do you know how many wins he's had?
He's had a win every year for 18 years on the Seniors Tour, which is insane. So Bernhard Langer, he's won 47 tour events and consecutively 18 years in a row. Yeah. That is insane. That's unbelievable. So shout out, Mr. Langer. We reported that he had retired.
Yeah, we'd heard he threw in the towel, but clearly not. He said, I got a couple more wins in me. So
he'd torn his Achilles. We deal as a facility swing a lot with Achilles tears and ruptures. So he couldn't have done that too badly if he's back.
Yeah, probably a partial rupture. It couldn't be a clean one. To be back in 5 months playing, walking a course. So he recovered well, but it must have been on the more minor side.
Why is that Achilles such a brutal injury?
Well, it's just a high tension structure. So you don't realize it, but when you're walking around, anything you do, even low level, that's soaking a lot of stress and absorbing.
So what does the Achilles tendon do?
So it attaches onto your calcaneus, which is your heel bone. Both your calf muscles, you have a deeper one called the soleus, more outer muscle, the big ones you see. That's called your gastrocnemius. Those two join together into a common big tendon. Yeah, early for a word like that. And they go into your Achilles. But that plants your foot, or you could say pushes your toe and foot down. So when you're walking, it propels you forward.
Interesting. So pretty important.
Super, super important. Yeah. Especially as golfers for ground force reaction. But so also when we think of like Tiger and all his issues walking around the course, it's a huge part of just getting from hole to hole,
Yeah.
getting from the tee box to the greens. You got to be able to walk the course.
So shout out Bernhard Langer. I have a man crush on you, mate. You are an absolute. I had a pleasure of playing with him. Wow, many years, 25 years ago in a practice round, and he was still using the broomstick. The broomstick. He just. 35 footer on the 72nd
Yeah, that's
at
insane.
67 years of age.
Yeah.
You are a god. You're so cool. And he
Yep.
seems like such a wonderful man.
Yep.
DP Tour, and we have Mr. Waring, Pommy, 39 years of age, a bit of a journeyman. So getting back to the PGA Tour, that's that age on the PGA Tour where I think unless you're playing really well, those journeymen might start to lose their spots on PGA Tour. But shout out, Paul, mate, you're a phenomenal golfer. 6 under on the last day to win at 24 under. Seemed an easy course. I just Googled here. The 7 top scores on the DP Tour on Sunday were 6 under, 8 under, 6, 9, and 8.
Yeah, scoring conditions were good.
Yeah, the course is pretty easy.
Yeah. If everyone's going that low just on one day.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that's news from the fairway. Now, on the greens, more importantly, how was your golf? You had a great weekend of golf.
I did. I think I cracked something here.
Yeah, so talk us through it.
So upstate, I had thought maybe I get away with 9 holes this weekend, be great. But I was just upstate with my wife Marie and our dog.
So how far up?
2.5 hours north. We went up to
Okay,
Tannersville, which is a cool little area.
You said near
just up in the
Woodstock?
Catskill Mountains. So you go past Woodstock, and then there's a steep incline you go up, and sometimes you drive up that, and there's a foot of snow all of a sudden.
Very cool.
But right now it's warm and sunny up there.
Yeah.
So we found a place called Innis. It's a really cool farm-to-table resort. We weren't staying there, but they have a golf course. If anyone's heard of Sweetens Cove, it's the same designer. His name is King Collins, but it was awesome. So it kind of just looks like the golf course was naturally occurring. It was
love
really
that.
pretty.
So he's just got a bulldozer and just kind of shaped it a little bit.
So a lot of rolling fairways, some tight holes, some water, but the greens are crazy big complexes, 4 or 5 tiers to them. Really interesting kind of course you could play over and over, and it would feel different.
Quickish, like stimping about 10, 12?
Yeah, pretty quick.
Awesome.
Greens were punched recently, but it didn't affect it too much.
Yeah.
But they were really quick, really slow, so it was a blast.
How'd you play?
Well,
thoughts? Feels?
Same thing I had before, kind of 3/4 effort in terms of, I think more
towel
so that
drill
just
in here.
slows my tempo down a little bit, which is nice. And then, shoulders to 3 o'clock, the same thought I've had for a while, and played really solid. It was super fun. So then we kind of took it as like, instead of going on a hike, my wife just walked along with us. They're dog friendly, so
this
my dog
is where it
came
gets
along.
very interesting. So SJ's played 9 holes.
Yeah.
Friday.
And
What'd you do Saturday?
We ran it back.
Another 9 holes.
So we said, well, we could go for a hike. What do you want to do? And Marie said,
dude, this is awesome.
Well, that was pretty fun yesterday. I'd rather do that. So we found another place called Lazy Swan Golf Club. Also really cool.
This is so cool.
I called them up, and they seem very relaxed. I was like, can I come play 9? They're like, show up whenever. Dogs welcome.
that.
Just keep them on a leash.
How much?
So if it was before noon, $25. Afternoon, $15, and the course was amazing.
Love it.
A little more traditional than Innis, just in terms of the layout, but really pretty, really fast, really windy.
So good.
So
then what happened Sunday?
Yeah, we went and played so he put us on the back 9 Saturday, and I thought, well, I should see this whole course. So Sunday went back, played the
Marie,
front 9.
You're a patient lady.
So shout out to Marie. She was a trooper, but we had a great time.
Yeah, look, it's brilliant.
The recipes, you got to find a place that's dog friendly.
And no
most
leash,
no
just running.
On leash.
On leash.
Yeah. And then most importantly, you need your significant other to sign off on it. But it happened that it was hardly anyone out there on both courses. So we kind of felt like we were just walking in the park. I was chasing a golf ball around.
So good. Now, you've got a Labradoodle? No.
Cockapoo.
Cockapoo. If what's her little one's name?
Flo.
If Flo is off the leash, is that game over? Is she like?
No, she'd be fine.
She's
She's kind of a Velcro dog, so she likes going off on her own, but she always comes back.
That's very cool.
But just to not ruffle any feathers, kept her on leash.
Now, more seriously, ball flight on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Did it change?
A little bit. So I could feel. We spent some time driving in the car. It's a little tight, and so each day I could tell I was starting to get a little steeper, a little more out to in.
Okay, interesting.
But we've done this
At
enough in
impact,
here
at impact, yeah.
So I was able to just kind of rein it in, and it was really windy, so I hit a lot of ball back of my stance, face a little closed, just low draws into the wind.
Love that. Remember, if my hands on camera, which are parallel to my shoulders, are showing my feet, these are my feet, as we move the ball back like my coffee mug, the face will have right orientation. So at address, if your ball's opposite your right shoulder, hit that little trap low ball flight, one must toe the face in to offset how much the ball's back, because the face will be open.
Yeah.
So you play that well. It's a good shot to
I
have,
went to
right?
that all day with wedges, even, some longer approaches into the greens, and it just kind of cuts through the wind better.
Totally.
So I'm thinking 2 years ago, if we were out there with, a couple of the days, it was 25-mile-per-hour winds. I was playing an over-the-top, face open, kind of weak, slicey shot. I would have been eaten alive.
Oh my God, that reminds me. I saw a video pop up in my feed. Actually, this is great. They call it the Faldo. Again, played with Nick. He's an amazing individual. And I can't remember who it was. Someone on PGA Tour. Somehow it came up in my feed, and I've never heard this. And I've been around golf for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love for you and I to gauge this, because swings, pivot the path is all about keeping it high and tight on the facts. Who was it? The PGA Tour chap?
Joel Dahman.
Joel Dahman. There's a video that's going viral. You guys have all probably had it served up to you. And it's called the Faldo, and I've played with Sir Nick, 6-time major winner, phenomenal.
Yeah, he knows a bit about wind and a golf ball, 3 British Opens.
For every yard, so when you grab the grass, throw it in the air and the wind takes it, for every yard you step in the direction the grass has moved is 4 yards of carry distance you have to add, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I've never heard that.
Just factually, if it was scientifically tested, how accurate. But if it gives you a pretty good idea.
Look, Faldo is a very precise man. Know that personally. I mean, ridiculously precise. It would strike me as he's bang on. So again, pick up the grass, throw it in the air. If the grass moves in a direction, you walk that direction. From where you threw it to where it hits the ground, for every yard you walk, you have to add 4 yards of ball flight carry.
Interesting.
And I thought that's so simple.
Yeah, it's pretty nice actually, because there were a couple times I was in between. Do I club up 2 clubs, 3 clubs, 1? For the most part, I guessed all right, but there was, like I said, a lot of guessing going on with that. So.
I've never ever heard that, and that popped up to my feed a couple of days ago. I thought that was super.
Put it to the test next time we're out.
And then I had a bash on Thursday at Connecticut Golf Club. Shout out to Jono, the head pro there, who I had just a wonderful discussion with. He's just been put on the Met PGA board too. So, and he really got the whole swing concept. And I'm actually knocking up a 6-iron for him for a blade and X-Flex.
Yeah. That'll be different.
That'll be different. So shout out, John. Thank you so much for your hospitality, and Big Bergie, who I adore, and we enjoy our golf, and you help move. I don't mind saying I've been working on this high soft pitch shot, not a little low spinner, just a good solid little pitch over a bunker. About 30 yards is my nemesis. And I realized I've had way too much forward shaft land, and I've had a feel for 20 plus years, but through technology, and I absolutely mean this, last night I got myself on video and actually slowed it down on our phenomenal tech here. And I realized how I was getting the handle trapped in front of me for this particular high spinner, because I was always a low trapper, right? Little chip and run. I was never, as an Aussie, we're taught low trap. Jason Day and I kind of have a similar, not that I'm paralleling myself to Jason, but we were taught a similar motion of pitching arm straight arm pitch. So that high spinner or that high flopper is a little more difficult. And I can't tell you how excited I am that I don't believe in the yips at all. And not that I was anywhere near that, but I believe that everything has a math equation, and to actually look how forward my shaft was leaning and how I got trapped. So last night I was working, feeling like the club head gets ahead of the handle at impact, and it's a very bizarre feeling.
Higher, softer.
So I'm pumped.
Yeah, cool.
And then you and I were talking about drivers, just to circle back on this conversation. This is fascinating. So I put in a 30-year-old driver, the 905S, which I had on tour, and I love the Stealth. And everything about these two drivers, the same length, the exact same golf shaft, same grip. I've added a bit of lead tape because the CC mass of this old 905S is a little smaller than the Stealth. But yet the difference in these two carries is unbelievable.
Yeah. So the theory was just with the bore through shaft and it being so much stiffer,
Yep.
it was going to, for one, with the head being older, get rid of gear effect and dispersion a bit.
So this right-hand club, I definitely hit straighter.
Yeah. And I've seen you with both of these playing. That one is pretty, like, there's not a lot of curvature going
There's
on.
very little curve. And when I hit this ball in the toe, because the face has no curve or very limited bulge, we call it bulge and roll. If I hit it in the toe, the ball starts not as far right and still hooks a little, but the actual gear effect is less than the new drivers.
Yep.
So said simply, the old driver, I have to perform better. So
Yeah.
my process has to be better without a doubt.
Yeah.
But when I hit the driver pretty well, and I'm flying at about 290, but I noticed with this guy, I was flying at, and you actually said this, considerably less.
Yeah, it's just less pop off the face.
Less pop off the face. And I'm like, that can't be right. They're the exact same driver. Well, the last week, because we're all about, cutting out all the bullshit. The last week I Googled trampoline effect. Now there was a driver called the ERC in Callaway when I was starting my apprenticeship off the cuff. I think the Callaway ERC was around 96.
Okay.
Okay. And it had a trampoline face. So what actually occurred, as the club face was striking the ball, the club face would concave in and then trampoline out. And it got banned because it was adding, 20, 30, 40 yards. Well, bugger me if this new driver, so any face that is carbon, this has apparently, reportedly, 60 to 70 layers of carbon.
Yep.
It is trampoline effect. And it's documented.
So everyone must be doing it then, because I know
Everyone
with
must
all
be
the
doing
new big brands, the ball speeds off the face across the board are
insane.
pretty much the same.
Yep.
There might be a little bit of variance here and there, but it's a mile per hour or two. So they're all got some sort of effect where ball speed is clearly one thing that's changed, maybe because of that trampoline effect from a 25-year-old driver to
Every
a new
component of these two drivers is the same. 30 years old, the only thing that's different is how far I'm hitting this thing. And the mathematics and physics didn't make sense until you take into account that it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of graphite that compresses. And there is 1,000% a trampoline effect. Now, in my opinion, that should be banned, but that's just me. I'm a bit old school. But I took this out. I was back over 300 yards again. I'm like, okay, well, there it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, mate.
A little more gear effect.
A little more gear effect.
A little more pop.
A little more pop.
Yeah. So interesting experiment, though.
Fascinating, right? Fascinating. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
So again, if you've got any questions, fire them in. We're getting inundated with questions on this, that, and the other. We're here to debunk it.
Yeah.
Keep it honest, high and tight, and facts.
Yeah, exactly.
Beauty golfers, look, thanks for listening. And remember, you can absolutely own your swing, understand your driver, improve your golf game with the work you put into your golf game off the golf course.
Yep. So thanks for listening. And just to circle back, last week we talked about getting into transition. We did a lot of backswing a couple episodes ago. We had a lot to cover today, but next week we're going to be back. We will pick up where we left off with backswing and into transition and give you some more visual again. So again, thanks for listening. We love the support, and next week we'll talk.
Remember, we've got our newsletter drops Friday, and
awesome.
enjoy it.
Yeah, check it out. We'll see you next week.